All right, let's go. Thelonious Stokes, welcome to the Lives of the Artists. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, man. Let's do it.
Are you in? So you're in your studio in Florence right now.
Currently in the studio, in the front of my studio. Yeah, I've been in this studio for about 4 years now, and I produced dozens. I don't even know how many works. Basically, all my entire catalog was, for the most part, produced in the studio since I graduated from the Florence Academy back in 2021.
How big is the studio?
Studio's it's pretty massive, man. I wish I could show you, but right now I'm in the front of my studio, which is initially this studio was a school, so actually neighbor us, kind of like it's like a funneling system for international students to join various programs, study abroad programs here in Florence. So I'm always having, Americans, Canadians, British students just in groups by the dozens just walking past my studio. So I ended up, this building was initially a part of that school. I think during COVID, man, so much stuff changed in Florence. So many restaurants closed down. So a lot of smaller academies stopped. And some of those study abroad programs just were completely cut. And the school that was my studio was just vacant. So following my graduation, I was able to save up a little bit of money through, just painting in a wine cellar for like a full year, and which was so difficult, man. It was horrible light. I had to kind of like fix my paintings like closest to the closest source of light, and but yeah, through the grace of God, I was able to save up some euros through some painting sales, and start renting this amazing studio, which used to be a school, which used to be actually advanced painting studio. So,
oh man, it's so important to get like a nice space to paint in. I feel like you can produce better work. Your life is better. Everything is better. I mean, it's a luxury and it's a privilege, of course, but
no, absolutely. It's a total privilege, absolute luxury. Like I only paint in like exclusively natural light now. Like I just stopped painting. We're now in Florence, it gets dark at about 8:30, which is kind of nice. So I can just paint all day, man. I'm painting
amazing.
All day. Yeah.
Amazing. And tell me a little bit about, for the audience, tell us a little bit more about your background, where you're from, how you've got to this place.
Well, look, so I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm from the Southside of Chicago. My story is extremely untraditional. I even dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old. Because it has like these taboo, obviously, like high school dropout. Oh my God, right? Like, which even me at the age of 16, I was quite afraid. I was like, what does my future look like, right? The cool thing though was the following year when I turned 17 is when I was introduced to oil painting, and so I kind of like entered into I just started studying under a painter named Ryan Schultz. He passed away last year. Rest in peace. He's really the reason why I even know anything about oil painting Florence. Because, being from Chicago, like literally even certain kids that are, raised up on the South Side, they don't even go downtown. Like, so they haven't even seen like the beautiful Chicago, like skyline. And it's the means of exposure for some of the urban communities in Chicago is just like, it's just not there. Like I actually didn't even know what Florence was until I was 17. Unfortunately, wow. Yeah.
And so this Ryan Schultz, he introduced you to oil painting. How did that come about?
Man, oh my God, I miss him so much. Sometimes I just give myself a hug thinking about him, because without him, he put the brush in my hand. I think he actually did come to Florence a couple times for some workshops at the Florence Academy of Art. But then he just locked in his studio on the north side of Chicago. So for him being on the north side of Chicago and me having to travel, take the train, and look, you could take a train from Florence to Rome in an hour and a half, right? It takes you the same amount of time to go from the north side of Chicago to the south side of Chicago. So like I would basically travel to Rome, Florence every day, like just to learn how to paint. And yeah.
And what was it exactly that you became fascinated and obsessed with? What was the thing?
I think so. So in Chicago, music and fashion are, for the most part, some of the two main sources of like expression for a lot of young people. You hop in the studio, or you're figuring out how to put on some interesting fit, right? That's just the lifestyle. And to me, like from 15, 16, 17, kind of just like I'm a freshman in high school, right? So I'm not a eighth grader, or I'm not like a grammar schooler anymore. So I'm actually like, I'm getting taller. I'm growing my little facial hair for the first time and stuff. And oh, sorry, wait, I kind of lose my track of thought. Can you ask me that question one more time?
So yeah, so I mean, he introduced you to you're in Chicago. You're
Yeah.
from the south side of Chicago.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You're
I got it. I
traveling to
got
the
you.
north
I got
side
you.
of Chicago. You're going an hour and a half every day, and you're locked in. You're obsessed with this
This
idea
is
of
and this
becoming
is
an oil painter. What? Why?
no, no, yeah. So like Chicago's, we're known for it's a city of the blues, right? Like we're known for blues, house music, even like the late Virgil Abloh, right? The previous director of Louis Vuitton was from Chicago. So these extremely high cultural motifs like live in the city, and it was just something for me as like a young person loving music and style. I was just like, everybody likes this. Like I want what's how can I even push it that much more forward? And I was like, then I met this guy Ryan Sharps, bro, painting. I was like, dude, nobody's painting. Like nobody's, and I'm not talking about like, we have a couple of contemporary like art schools in Chicago, and like I used to actually, since I wasn't in high school, throughout the day I would have nothing to do sometimes when I wasn't in Ryan's studio. So I would just go to the museum. So we have the Art Institute of Chicago. Oh, excuse me. And they have a school, the Art Institute of Chicago. I would sneak into this college campus, man, and just sit in their classes. It was crazy. Like I was like, first of all, how am I even in here? But since I'm in here, let me just lean back and listen. And then they would have these exhibitions, and the work, sure, I'm fascinated by like the contemporary scene of like non-figurative works that just kind of like they just throw paint onto the canvas, and it's just like sometimes feels like this like explosive mess, which then has some type of like compressed narrative, and I'm like, hey, that's you. But then there's other works that in the actual museum across the street from the school that just grabbed me much more. There's even a portrait of Alessandro Medici, and I've been looking at this portrait since I was like 16 years old in Chicago, and so it was just kind of like this. It was always written for me to like kind of land in Florence and just be a oil painter. It was just written, and now I could it's kind of a full circle thing. Like I designed this piece of jewelry. This is what this shirt is from my first collection. Also, this hat. So it's like style didn't never go anywhere, but oil painting as a means of design and like composing, I think was a much more explosive and direct way for me to express myself.
So when you started oil painting,
Yeah.
you felt like something just came alive in you.
No, it was absolutely like this new realm that I felt like I just like fully was just tapped into. And
And
yeah,
when you
man.
say no one was like no one was painting, you mean like no one around you was painting, like that wasn't part of your culture, there wasn't like people in your school or people in your where you grew up that were painters or nothing like that.
The cool thing is actually I had an older cousin who was a quite well-known abstract painter in Chicago who used figuration to really like explore space. And so like seeing I would go to his house as a child, and his paintings, he would sometimes do these pastels. They would be all around all over the floor. So just figuration has always just been in my eye. Even there's an artist, a contemporary artist named Theaster Gates from Chicago as well. He's a ceramicist, and he's kind of rooted in like some Japanese practices of ceramics, but he was born and raised on the west side of Chicago, and his father was a roofer. So he's somehow been able to combine tar, his experiences of his father roofing, and then his love for like gorgeous ceramics. And my mom and him were friends. just by, being young people in Chicago. My mom had me quite young, and the scene of both style and music, they bring so many interesting people together. Like even like to point like in the what was it? I was born in '95, so before I was born, my father would tell me stories about like him just sipping whiskey and getting high with like Dennis Rodman and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, like that's kind of random, but so that kind of mix of culture has always been there. But yeah, back to the oil painting. It was the highest form of explosivity for me. Sometimes my father, I don't know if he's telling me the truth, but he's actually showed me a painting, and I was like, wow. My father tells me that he studied 1 year or 2 years at the Art Institute of Chicago. Back, I would guess it was like the early '80s or something like that. So I guess and he was also a rocker. So my dad is like a full-fledged rock and roller. My mother was a jazz singer, named after Thelonious Monk, the pianist. And so yeah, just art culture has always been so deeply rooted in my life that it was like, okay, what's the next means of us to express ourselves? So like painting, there was no paint. That sure, like again, my older cousin was a painter, but like when it comes to like actually like digging into the culture of like academic oil painting and then challenging that culture, I was the only one to do it. And I'm the first person in my family to ever like, I think I have like maybe a cousin that lives in Japan, but I'm pretty sure I'm the first person in my family to live abroad.
It's pretty addictive, isn't it? Oil painting. It's just the substance, and the more you know how to use it, the more, I don't know, it just becomes, it's a very addictive thing. It's almost like don't start if you can't stop once you start.
No, absolutely. I wish I could show you what's in front of me right now. Maybe another talk we could do like some type of tour. But yeah, for me it's it's a lifestyle. I actually was like against getting tattoos and stuff when I moved to Florence. I was a clean, no tattoo. I still don't do like piercings or whatever, but I started to get tattoos probably at the age of I would say 26. Because I just wanted to understand, and I got all my tattoos in Italy. Weird enough. My point is though, is I have this tattoo. I don't know if you know the famous Tupac tattoo, the Thug Life.
Yep.
So I have a tattoo called on my stomach's Art Life. It's the exact same tattoo as Tupac.
Yeah, you know David Lynch, the director.
Yeah.
He called living the art life. Like he was a painter, and he was a very creative guy, and he called his life the art life. Like
rest in peace, David Lynch, man. He just passed away. Oh
yeah, I know. I was a massive fan of his work. Just everything he stood for.
No, absolutely. And even knowing about his like painting practice too is like amazing, right? Like he was a painter.
Yeah, he was a painter. He was a painter. Like first and foremost, he was a painter, and he became a filmmaker later. But yeah,
exactly.
He went to art school, and and so your studio, it always looks like a lot of fun. It seems like there's a lot of people coming through. You're always pumping music. It's a very active, thriving place. You like to keep it like that? That's the kind of atmosphere you like?
So the atmosphere, it really fluctuates, right? Because sometimes, I have interns that prefer me to not play the music loud, and I'm the founder of this because I'm transitioning actually my studio into an academy, a private fine arts academy for painting and drawing. We could probably get into that a little later.
Yeah, sure.
So everybody has their own, I would say, triggers in a safe / artistic environment. For me, I make music. It's a personal practice, not something I really talk about too much, which is very personal. And I like to I want that to be constantly reflected in what I'm producing, like from what I'm wearing to what I'm listening to what I'm actually like painting on the canvas. Those all have to be in sync for me to feel like, okay, this makes sense. The crazy thing is sometimes I look at my phone and it's like warning, like hearing too loud, like the audio warning gives you. So I guess I unintentionally blast my music because it gives me energy. I'm a standing artist. I'm only sitting when I'm having a lunch, coffee, or while I'm working, I'm on my feet. And so there's music. Sometimes I like to listen to the Old Testament, the New Testament. I just have it playing in the background. Recently, like getting into a lot of like just pretty generalized like theology movements, like from around the world, even like Eastern liberation theology, just womanist liberation theology, Black liberation theology. There's so many different like facets of just learning about religion. It's like quite amazing. Like I recently learned through just listening to things in my studio while painting, womanist liberation theology, which is rooted in African American women, and a small motif that the viewers can do their own research. It's really interesting, but it's so interesting. They actually, I've heard this, they reject the atonement because they feel like the crucifixion of Christ was a form of spiritual child abuse. I was like, wow, like that's like mind blowing, right? So I was like, okay. And to be listening to these things while I'm like finishing up like Christ healing the blind on Michigan Avenue, I'm like, all right, like it's really cool. A lot of gospel is playing, like a lot of like old American gospel. I love Mahalia Jackson, you know what I mean? Like that real rich, soulful music. And you, hopefully, God willing, it reflects in the work.
For sure, 100%. I read somewhere that you visited the black paintings in the Prado in Madrid, and that made you, inspired you to become an artist. You were like 100% committed after that. Is that true?
Yeah, so that was actually I've been addicted to Goya's black paintings since I found out about Goya. Like that was just like, yo, what? Like, was this really a part of like human history? For those paintings to be, first of all, they're so dark, they're so eerie, but they're rooted in I believe they're rooted in, at that time in Spain, it was like so much dogma in regards to like some of the ideologies correlating to like Christianity that they were just like killing women. They were just killing people. And like how Goya responded to that, right? Like being so infused into the higher, more elite culture of Spain at the time, but then through his work absolutely rejecting that culture, which I just thought it was fascinating, man. Like some of those works, they're pretty scary. Because when I finally moved to Florence, I was like, okay, I got to go to Madrid, right? I'm right here. So I moved to Florence in 2018. And
so you knew about them before?
I did, yeah. I knew about them before. I didn't ever see, like, I needed to see these things. Actually, the very first collection of paintings that I ever made, the first proper series of works that I ever made together was called The Black Paintings. It's directly inspired by Goya's black paintings. And then even like moving into now, like if you go to my site, you'll see there's an option called the Black Academy of Art, which is my private fine arts academy that I'm starting. So just like this concept of blackness has just been, and it's not even like, I'm not even talking about ethnicity at this point. I'm talking about like even like how we describe like holy texts, right? Like you need blackness to like write down the word. So it's just this concept just became fascinating to me. So when I finally moved to Florence, and then obviously like I'm African American, people call that black. So it's just like, okay, cool. It's just so many different parallels, like social parallels, cultural parallels, like economic parallels. I get to Madrid. Let me wrap it back around. And I finally go to the Prado for the first time. And when I tell you, I'm pretty sure I got there just around their opening time, and I didn't leave until they had to kick me out of that museum. I was in the room of the black paintings, just like I actually cried. The first time I ever cried in front of a painting was in.
Can you remember which one it was that you cried?
It was two men fighting to the death with clubs.
Oh yeah. That's what I read about. Yeah, that's what I read. Yeah.
That painting made me cry, man, because when you look at it, it's like you think these men are like playing with each other, and then when you get a little closer to the painting, like you see blood, and then you read the title, you're like, wait, they're fighting. But it's like such a gorgeous, like the background is like it's this beautifully lit day.
Yeah, they're sort of like standing in like primordial sludge, and they're just slugging it out again, and it feels like they're never going to stop. It just feels like it's like a battle with humanity that's just going on, and when is there going to be any peace?
No, absolutely. And I feel like the reason why I got so emotional and it's like just to the left of like a dog drowning, which is like this beautiful composition, such a simple painting of just like a face of a dog, which like a horizontal line.
Yeah, just
Like,
a profile of a dog, just
and I'm just
in this
like,
void almost. Yeah.
it's like this is like first of all, like wow, and then just to the left of that painting, I'm pretty sure is men, two men fighting to the death with clubs. So I look, I'm like, I go from looking at this dog drowning, which I'm like, oh, it's such a cute painting, to like, oh, right. And then I like look at this other painting. I'm like, all right, well, this looks happier. I've already seen the painting. I already knew what was going on, but it just took me by. It just shocked me. I stood in front of the painting, and it just reminded me so much of Chicago, and like the violence in the city,
Yeah.
and just man, just tears. And I'm just like, the fuck. I'm like, I'm in the fucking Prado. Like, let me stop, right? Like,
Yeah, there's not much hope in that painting. When I look at that painting, there's not a sense of hope. It's like just a sense of, it's almost like Goya was looking at humanity and just saying, just we're such idiots. We just can't stop fighting. Why can't we just stop fighting?
absolutely, man. And yeah, like I'm 29 now. Look, I moved to Florence when I was 22. So you still kind of have this like fresh, you get to Florence to drink, Italy and the wine culture, and so you're out in the cafes, you're hanging out in the piazzas, and there's a point where that shit gets old because I turned 30 this year, so I'm like, wow, I moved to Florence as like basically like entering my 20s, and I'm like taking a couple blinks and like a couple like moments later, I'm 30 years old. Like I made all these paintings, and I'm like, and then back to the kind of like that sense of dread that Goya produced. I felt like in my work, something that I want to always talk about is that sense of salvation, which is like parallel. Like I'm looking at these guys' works all day, every day. So there is like this dialogue that I would love to that in my personal opinion I am having with people with the masters, where it's like whilst a Goya would paint dread, I would paint a salvation, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's like I need that. I need that.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
there's a lot of obviously religious iconography in your work, and I
Yeah.
can see that you connect directly back to the work of the ancients. But you kind of, like you say, you put a blackness to it,
Yeah.
and it feels to me like you feel like there's something missing in art history, like a black interpretation
No,
of
absolutely.
God and religion, and you're kind of taking it upon yourself to do that and to kind of speak that language that artistic language to the world. Would I be right in saying something like that?
No, like I think you hit it on the head. I feel like it's my duty, right? Like it's why I'm living in Florence. I go to Milan sometimes because I have a couple friends out there, and they're like, "Why do you live in Florence?" I'm like, "I'm an oil painter. Like, can you stop? Like you need to move to Milan." And I'm like, I like Milan, but like I have a job. Like it's not an occupation. Like it's a life that I live in Florence, where like I have to make these paintings. Even the painting that my most two recent works. One, I think the title is a portrait of my former self. Because I recently shaved and cut all my hair off. So I'm like, that's my former self, dude. Like that was me. Like last week, like a portrait of my former self as the big black ocean, right? And I'm thinking
I
about.
love that painting, by the way, because
Thank you
I
so much.
saw I saw it as a performance piece. Initially, you
Yeah,
uploaded it as a performance piece, and I
I
thought,
did.
wow, that's a really powerful piece. I mean, like with all your work, it doesn't really touch on anything specific, but it asks so many questions of many
Mm,
different things with Black history, African American history,
yeah,
all of these things. You're asking questions from yourself personally, but also of the culture. And
yeah.
I thought that was really powerful. And then I saw that you were painting a picture of it, and I
Had
was
to
like,
paint
wow,
it.
that's incredible.
No, yeah, and that's like I was so really. This year I want to be more public, just with the practice of some of the self portraits. Like, there's a lot of movement, and I'm like recording myself dancing, or like playing the cello, or like playing like of. I I'll be right back. I have a crazy instrument.
Thelonious just gone to get his instrument.
So I have
What
a
is he going to come
couple of
back
like
with?
these old ancient like
Oh, wow. That's
I
like a
think it's like
lute, isn't it?
and this is an Italian instrument. I'm pretty sure it was made in Florence.
Where
Like
did you find
it's
that?
so I work with this amazing violin maker. Her name's Paris. She's based here in she's British. She's based here in Florence though. She didn't make this. This is an ancient instrument, but she made all of the instruments that the modern instruments that I have performed with or painted. And yeah,
Maybe
like
you should do an exhibition with the paintings next to the video pieces, because
absolutely.
they're really
So,
powerful.
thank you. You know, there's other moments. For example, I have another portrait of me right here. The name of the painting is Portrait of a Man. I just did another one too where I just pop up the mirror. Oh, this piece actually right here behind me. So you know the famous depiction of the Anglo-Saxon Christ. Boom.
Yeah.
All I did was just take the general composition, same palette. I use a little bit of cadmium red sometimes, and sometimes I use a little bit of cadmium orange. So that's really the only difference. But then boom, I just put the mirror right next to that old depiction of Christ. I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? So it goes from performance to obviously painting from life, which I was trained in, to like I'm looking at so many old paintings, just pulling various compositions, and then, for example, this new portrait of just me completely painted in black with these gold teeth. Yeah, it was activated through a performance because I was like, I have to film this. I just like actually one of my best friends had a dream. He was like, "Yo, like I just had a dream," and he called me and he's like, "Bro, I just had a dream that we were on a private jet with Jay-Z and he's like, we were on a private jet with Jay-Z. It sounds kind of weird, and we were looking at a painting that you made, and you were painted completely black, and you had gold teeth, man." And I was like, "What?" This was months ago. This was actually last year. I was like, "Yo, that sounds crazy." I was like, "I gotta paint that." So finally, I got these gold teeth made. I was like, I need the gold teeth, right? If you're going to paint it, you got to get the gold teeth. So I got the gold teeth, and I'm like, it's that time. So I was like, I just painted my body black, popped those things in, and yeah, I started like just kind of move, boom, with the palette, with actually the palette that I painted with at the academy. Like that's my first palette. I still have it.
So
It's a
what
left-handed
what
palette.
does what does these performance pieces that you do, what does that give you that painting doesn't? I feel like it's an extension
Yeah.
of your art, but what is it like trigger inside your head that you can't get from painting?
Yeah, so we were just previously talking about Lynch, David, and like I'm a filmmaker as well, right? So there are like extended means of movement that I need to achieve that obviously like in painting, we can only reach so far to achieve. Like, you know, through certain finishes or certain moments, how we lay down. Like if you see some of the hands of some of my work, it's just like two marks. So it feels like it feels like something dragging back. And I'm like, okay, through filmmaking, I can literally just show you. You know what I mean? Like to the point where like I'm like putting myself in a tube. So like I go pretty deep with some of these performances. But the whole goal is the same thing that I'm challenging with oil painting is I'm challenging not only just the larger Eurocentric academic culture. Look, I made that performative video in Florence, Italy. I'm completely painted in all black with gold teeth. It's something that's rooted in African and African American culture. Because I'm Creole, so I have cousins in Louisiana, New Orleans, and in Florida, and it's a thing. Like it's always been a form of culture just put gold on your teeth. This is what we do. And so it was just like, and I was thinking like the soil, right? So then I'm like, okay, and I'm thinking about I was just reading Genesis, and like, you know, Adam was made from the dust of the earth. So I'm like, okay, let me just paint myself black. I'm like, what else comes from the dust of the earth? Gold, right? Like, so let me pop that in my mouth, and like now I'm like, and like my goal is to like, I am the earth, right? And then I was like, but I'm right next to the Mediterranean. I know that I have African DNA in me, and the only reason I was born and raised in America is from the transatlantic ocean. So I'm like, cool. Myself is the big black ocean. You know what I'm saying? So
Love
it's
it.
just like these kind of like thoughts, and I'm like, okay, let's put them
Love it.
together. Thank you, man.
Love it. And am I right in saying that you work with Madonna?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. She's actually one of my collectors. She bought a work, and we're we became like, it's weird. Like we became kind of like friends just through art.
She seems like an amazing woman. Like it's one person that she's iconic, obviously, but she just seems like a very cool person and a big art collector. She loves art.
Man, she's the coolest. She's so like, first of all, she's so kind, like straight up. Like she's super cool. So she's like, like I don't know, like she's like, and she knows so much. Like I can actually learn from her. So there was a
How did
moment.
you connect with her originally?
Actually, the cool thing is we connected through. So she has like a pretty dope team, you know, various creative directors and stylists and stuff. And I was in like sometimes I go to Paris during the fashion weeks, really just to hang out. Like sometimes get inspired. It's a lot of cool like just visuals in Paris during fashion week, and just kind of through my like it's just my natural, I guess, the parallel culture of both art and fashion. I just find myself in Paris sometimes during fashion week. And so I'm hanging out with models and artists and like musicians and stuff. And we're all just expressing ourselves through style at that moment, right? And it's sure, like it's other painters, like it's always painters. So it's like, yeah, it's really a beautiful culture. That's why, like, I really, God willing, like through what I'm doing, like we can like really build things up where places like Chicago have this like more vibrant, thriving like these art scenes. Because Chicago is it's just kind of dangerous. Like you can't really hang outside all the time, like together. It's just like something might happen. So back to the Paris and Madonna thing. I'm going to Paris. I'm like rocking some of my designs and stuff like that. And actually, this piece that I'm wearing on my neck, I took a picture with a good friend of mine. He's actually the cool thing about he's considered the first male supermodel. His name's Alton Mason. So we're just posting in Paris, right outside of this like party. And one of my other friends snaps this super dope picture of us. We're both just like this, because we both had on like a similar outfits and stuff. But I had this chain on. Something, you know how sometimes these pictures go viral on Instagram or whatever. A person from Madonna's team ends up seeing the picture, and they're like, "Yo, what is this item on his neck?" And then he showed. I guess they instantly show Madonna. And they're like, "Wait, it's not just a chain, but this guy's a painter." You know what I'm saying? Boom. And what his name's Ricardo. He's Madonna's basically creative director. He shoots her all the time. He's always with her. He shows Madonna, and Madonna's like, and next thing you know, I'm just like, I'm looking at my Instagram page. Who was this? I guess it was either last year or the year just previous. I'm just seeing Madonna like all my paintings. I'm like, what's going on, man? So I click on the actual page. I'm like, is this Madonna? Like the singer? And yeah, it was really Madonna the singer. And next thing you know, like she sends me a message. She's like, I love your work. I think you're great. I was like, all right, shit. Thank you so much, Madonna. I think you are great too. And,
Wow, that's an incredible story. But then you got to
and then
meet her and she ended up buying one of your paintings or a couple of your paintings?
So she like, because all her children are like classically trained musicians. Like she is a really strict mom. So they're all like playing like the bass or the violin, or they all know how to play the piano. And like, so she invited me so she just finished her, like, I guess it's probably her last like world tour that she just did. She invited me over to one of the shows in Milan, and I was able to see her perform for the first time in my life. It was, Italians, they love Madonna. She is Italian as well. I think she's from Michigan though. But so I go to this Madonna concert in Milan, and these Italians are going crazy over her. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's Madonna. Well, she like had like a little section for me and the person I brought with me. And I was just like, wow, like I'm really at a Madonna concert right now because she just asked me to come. She was like, we wanted to meet each other then, but it was just like it was just some chaos. I don't know what was happening. So she was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't think we'll be able to meet now. I'm like, it's fine. Thank you so much for inviting me. A couple months go by, and sometimes I go back to Chicago just to like, I really got to spend that family time, because I live so far from my home. That's like, I miss so much. People like my grandma's getting older. I'm like, Grandma, I just want to hug you. So I'm in Chicago, and Madonna, she texts me, and she's like, hey, I'm actually in Chicago for my Chicago show. I'm like, oh wow, like that kind of lines up perfectly. And she's like, can you come on stage and judge the voguing section? And I'm like, sure. I don't think I've been on stage in front of like that many people. So I was like, will I be nervous? I don't know. Let's just try it out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I was like, we went to, and I'm, at one point, just after I dropped out of high school, I actually lived not too far from the United Center, which is on the west side of Chicago. So I'm like driving, and I just bought my new car. So I got my whole family with me. Like I have literally my grandma didn't want to come, but she's older, and like the noise and stuff. But I got my younger brother with me. My best friend's cool. I actually have his name tattooed on my neck. Like, he's like really my best friend. My younger brother Satchel. My best friend's Zakor. My brother's girlfriend, my mom, and my auntie in my new car, and we're driving to the United Center. Because I'm driving. I just learned how to drive last year too. It's kind of funny because I kind of skipped a lot of normal stuff. I'm like driving. My mom's so proud of me. She's like, I'm like, we pull into the back of the United Center, and I used to like walk past. This is like where the Chicago Bulls play. I used to like sometimes just walk past this arena, just like asking people for cigarettes and stuff. So I'm just like, wow, like life, like when you dedicate your mind to your passion, like man, things change. And so I'm like pulling up into the back of the United Center in my like new car. I'm like, pretty dope. And then like they kind of escort us, and what I can comfortably sit my family in like a very like kind of privatized section that's right in front of the stage, but it's not too close, so it's not too loud. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, thanks God. Like my family's comfortable. And the next thing you know, I'm being pulled on stage to judge a voguing section with me. And Madonna's like, thanks, Thelonious. I'm like, thanks, Madonna. And I'm like, okay, it's my life, I guess. You know what I mean?
That's incredible. How did she?
And
Which painting did she buy off you?
she actually okay. What is she purchased the? Okay, yeah, it's called The Devil's Pie. It has a very long name, long title. Let me actually just quickly pull it up because the title is gorgeous. And sometimes these titles are
Sorry,
like,
the title's what? The Devil's
it's
Pie.
called The Devil's Pie. Yeah, it's inspired by D'Angelo's. That section of the title is inspired by a D'Angelo song called
Okay,
The Devil's Pie. I would check it out. It's a really beautiful song.
I
But he was
will
basically
do.
talking about like all of like the nuances of taboo that are constantly fed to the black culture in America. It's like this is just what we're being fed. Here, let me pull up the exact title of the because it's a gorgeous title.
And
Yeah,
how
I'm
did
here
she
to talk
come?
to you.
How did she come to choose the painting? Was it just online? Did she visit your studio? Did she just I don't know. How does that kind of come about? Did her
Okay,
team contact
no,
you? Like, how does it
absolutely.
all work?
I'd say the full name of the painting is The Devil's Pie, semicolon, my giant self and the benevolent factor of Mother Nature, diverse on a little pink table with the whispering moan of the Sahara. Like I needed
Wow,
to like,
wow,
that's the full title. The short
wow.
title is The Devil's Pie. I think it was because all of her children are classical musicians, and I'm not 100% sure. Like it wasn't ever confirmed, but like obviously like she liked a couple of paintings on my page and stuff, and she was really really interested in some of like the stuff that where I was introducing like instruments and like
Right.
movement. And, you know what I'm saying? Like some of like the Judeo-Christian stuff is more has is for a more niche group of collectors. So she was really interested in like in just me like kind of like recontextualizing like academic classical culture in general. Like I'm like nude playing the bass, like with my face painted black, like with these dreadlocks, and it's like, okay, this I haven't seen an image like this before. So there's a section of her console that's actually like very similar to that painting where it's this man who's like basically nude playing the bass, like with this crazy hair. And I'm like, I think I inspired that section of her concert. It's kind of crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah. I didn't want to like really blow it up because I don't really mind. Like when artists this is artist to artist dialogue. It's like you might make a painting and a musician might like put that in a film, or they might put that on in their tour. So that's the painting that she ended up buying though. I was like, I
Ah, that
think
makes sense.
it makes a lot of sense. I think she
Yeah.
just yeah.
You know, she went out with Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Yeah, we actually talked about him a little bit, and it was it's kind of crazy because like in my earlier days of painting, right? I'm from Chicago, and I'm dropped out of high school. I was really afraid. I was like, I just don't want to become homeless, man. Like I need to make some money, and I was so blessed to be able to like I made a couple works in Chicago that I sold, And you know, when you're selling paintings for like, I was selling, I don't even remember, man, but from when I was first selling, I needed whatever I could get, I would sell a painting for. And then looking at Jean-Michel and kind of like his whole kind of like homeless section of his life, where he's just like wandering the streets, like, what am I going to do? I know that I'm a great artist, but it's like, how do I even get into that world? I had that same moment in my life where I was like, what am I going to do? I know I have this vision, but how do I get into that? How do I get into that world? Like, how does it even start? And it really just starts with the work. It starts with painting. Like, and sometimes when I'm in my lower moments of just even now being 29, I'm like, man, just paint. Because painting has always saved me, like always. And when she invited me to one time, and we're just talking, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you dated Jean-Michel. And she was like, without me even saying anything, she's like, you remind me so much of Jean-Michel. And I was like, what? That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I was like, that's crazy. She's like, yeah, like, and I was like, I'm pretty sure she was like, you know, I dated him, right? I was like, yeah, I know.
You know
No,
how it ended between them?
I heard that's kind of tragic.
Apparently, he gave her a load of paintings. Then he split up with her, and
Yep.
he dumped Madonna. I mean, that's like some crazy.
I heard it was the other way around.
Oh,
I
was
heard
it?
Madonna broke up with
Well,
him.
maybe he got so annoyed that she dumped him that he wanted his paintings back. So he took all his paintings
No,
back
yeah, I
from
heard
her.
that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he painted them black.
Yo, I think I want to actually see, like, hopefully, where are these paintings at? Like, where are Jean-Michel's black paintings at? It
She
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
know either. She doesn't know. She gave an interview on the Howard Stern show, and she doesn't know where they've gone either. But she was
I
so
think,
annoyed that she gave them back.
yo, because look, man, yeah, like I've seen a couple of like, you know, some of like those prime Basquiat's and stuff, like in some collectors' houses in New York, and those things, like they have a spirit in them that like they scare you a little bit. Like when you like look at some of those work, and sometimes I actually feel like in my like inside like I'm like Jean-Michel reincarnated in the case he was like academically trained. Like this is what he would be doing.
Yeah,
Like that's
right.
kind of that's myself
He,
that
he
before.
he I get the feeling like if he was alive today, I get the feeling he'd still be painting over his paintings, like even if they're in museums. I get the feeling like he didn't really care too much about. It was more what people's interpretation of his work. Like they held it
No,
up
yeah.
as this like great foundational work, whereas I feel like he'd just come in and paint over it still.
No, literally, and I know artists like even like today, right? And it's like I want to have that level of like I'm just say fuck itness, excuse my language, that level of like disregard for like the surface or like the actual finish of the painting. It's like I just cannot. Like I have to. Like, I just like I don't want to like destroy my paintings, man. I like my
Yeah,
paintings.
you got a different vision. You have to be
Yeah,
authentic to yourself, definitely always.
totally. And I do know artists like I got a homie, a Nigerian artist named he goes by Slon in London. No concern at all. It's the canvas is on the floor. He's spraying that joint. He's like doing whatever he want to do to the surface, putting it on, stretching it, and then boom, it's on the wall.
Yeah, I know Sloan. He's represented by my friend's galleries, Saatchi Yates. Yeah,
Oh, that's tight, huh?
he's
So
wild.
you know, like, and me and Sloan, like, we pretty good friends. And there was even a point where, like, you know, he paints a lot of blackface imagery too. It's like very illustrative, very like loose. Because in my earlier, the first moments of me painting some of those, I painted like two very tightly cropped images of myself, self portraits of myself with blackface on, like smiling. And those two paintings, they kind of educated a lot of people in black people in England. Like, yo, what is this? Like, what is this imagery? And so a couple of my friends in London were like, yo, what is this, bro? Like, I'm like, bro, do you know anything about the minstrel culture? Like, like early American like entertainment. And it was like, no, teach like, and then boom. Now it's this like this interest. So now I guess a couple, and that's why I love it, man. Like even yeah, like even me being in Florence, me living in Italy, I'm that much closer to like England, right? So some people are like, what does the watermelon mean? Why are you painting nooses? I'm like, okay, do you know anything about like racial, like racist stereotype motifs from America? So here we go. Like, and then it's like a one-on-one, just like this is that. So that's why I named really the more recent series of self portraits with the devil's pie. I painted myself as the David. All of the ballerino images. The name of that series is called the Education series. So people, that's like, yo, like, because a lot of people, like, what I learned, like, over here in this part of the world, they don't know about some of these, like, deeply embedded symbolic motifs. So I've been having to teach a lot of people, like, like just the other day, it's like, why is it a watermelon in this painting? I'm like, oh, great question. Well, the watermelon was used as a means of like kind of like degrading Black people's intelligence in America. Boom. Which is crazy because it's like one of the most like healthiest fruits, but it was like used against us somehow to like come at our intelligence. And like so, and then that's the dialogue that's happening in my studio that somebody did not know about. And I'm like, well, that's so interesting that you didn't know about that because I've been raised on this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel like that culture is uniquely American, and for its good and its bad. Like it's a very brutal and harsh history, but it's a uniquely well. I mean, look,
you just gave me a vision for a new painting, man.
Racism can happen anywhere, but it's profound in America.
You just gave me a vision for entirely new work because it is like it is sometimes it does seem like exclusively American. Like,
it's not exclusively American. I don't want that to sound trite or throw edge because every country has its different complex problems. But there's this race thing going on in America that just seems more profound, you know, than any.
It's deep, man. Well, it was like kind of what the country was built on, unfortunately, right? And that's why. And it's like a newer country in like relation to like the world. So like things all kind of happen kind of fast. And like I recently heard I think I wrote it down. There's a man named Cone, I believe James Cone. He wrote a book called The Cross and the Lynching Tree. And his ideas and the way he speaks about he's the founder of Black liberation theology.
So what's the name of the book?
The Cross and the Lynching Tree.
Right.
And that book has inspired me so much to the point it's just like drawing these parallels between like the struggles that actually happened to Yahusha Christo, people call him Jesus Christ, and the actual like physical struggles that Black people went through in America, and like the actual levels of torture that are the exact same, which is like being hung on the lynching culture, being hung, because like a lot of people, even in the Bible, like it says he was slew on a tree. So the whole like the crucifixion actually is like has like a conspiracy nature to it, like, and this kind of like ideal tree, which is this like there's this cross. Ultimately, like Antonio Messina painted the two criminals next to Christ on trees. Like they were, and it's a lot of paintings all throughout Italy. It's like these guys like this versus like that. So it's something that I was like, what? Like nobody ever taught me about that. I had to actually go into the book myself and see the word tree. And I'm like, okay, so Christ was lynched? Like what? So I'm like, it was like mine. I'm like, oh my God. So it did kind of activate me. I painted a couple lynching scenes that you got to find them on my Instagram page. Like I don't really push that imagery too much, but they're there. And it's a direct correlation between the crucifixion of Christ and the lynching of numerous Black souls in America. So that's
I think Goya also painted. I think he did some etchings of lynchings too, of Spanish guerrilla fighters being hung in trees and things by French soldiers.
I'm pretty sure Leonardo has some lynching sketches too. Like, so this culture has always been, and it's a dark culture. It's hard to look at, but it's like every time you look at a crucifixion, you're looking at a lynching. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't want to like really swallow that truth. So that's why we decorate it, right? We make it look pretty, right? And I feel like it's my goal to like kind of like not necessarily like just destroy this decoration, but really more to like peel back like some of these like what am I trying to peel back the wallpaper to show you like actually like the true surface of like what's really going on. And I have to kind of spoon feed it year by year. Because if I just started to paint Christ being literally lynched, like people would be like, "Come on, Thelonious!" So you have to like develop the catalog. Just okay, I painted the proper crucifixion, and then I'm going to paint like what it actually looked like at some point. And then I'm this year I'm actually like, you know, like the divine Christ-like nature of that we find a lot of women, and like that feminine energy, right? They call him the Alpha and the Omega, and I'm like, you know, women were actually also lynched and crucified as well. Like we don't really talk about that, so it's like that must be depicted. So I'm actually gonna paint my first female crucifixion this year. I'm like, whoa, we'll see how that comes out. It's gonna be probably like a pretty shocking image. But yeah, I'm working with one of my good friends. She's actually from Chicago. She lives in Germany, but she's my like female Christ.
Wow.
And you know, it's difficult, right? Because like I do have collectors that are pastors, and I do like study the Old and New Testaments. It's like, am I doing something wrong by doing this? So sometimes like people ask me. I actually was hanging out with an old student last night. Because some of my students, like we like the same age, man. So we might get a drink or something. And he was looking at this portrait behind me, and he was like, "Is this wrong?" And I was like, I feel you, because it's like a self-portrait." But I was like, Christ is in all of us, man. And he was like, boom. You know what I'm saying? Let's go grab a beer. And so yeah, like it's just like sometimes it feels like, this blasphemy. But similar to this chain, like it's not on my head. Like my goal is to not like I just have to I'm the only reference I have though. So initially this was gonna be like a Somalian dude from London. He ended up flying back to London. I'm like, I don't have a model anymore. Cause he had like that was a real like Ethiopian, like Eastern African features, but still very dark. And I was like, perfect. He ended up flying back to London. I'm like, I got this mirror. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go and paint myself. So sometimes like the work.
I think one of the oldest Bibles in the world is actually in Ethiopia.
No, yeah, for sure. Ethiopian culture is huge to me. Like actually, I want to visit Ethiopia at some point this year. Some of the oldest Christian groups, Ethiopians. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like they even said, I'm pretty sure.
Getting to Africa. The last time we spoke, we were discussing the idea of you representing Jesus Christ to Africans in Africa as an African. And lo and behold, a couple of months later, you're there and you have huge billboards in Ghana, in Accra, going down, and everyone is blowing people's minds. Tell me about that. That was absolutely amazing. Congratulations about that campaign.
And that's so cool that like the first time we spoke, like I was in that like into now. Yeah, man. So I ended up going to Ghana. What was that? Like January of 23, I believe. Sometimes the time is just, I'm not good with time, just let you know. Like
no, I think we spoke in October of 2022.
Yeah,
and then you went in literally January, a couple of months later.
Yeah. So it was January 23. So boom, like two of my, like I consider them like my big brothers, like Chance and Vic. We are like rappers and shit. They're having this huge Black Star concert in Ghana, and I'm like, man, like I would love to go. I gotta paint though. You know what I'm saying? But my best friend's Cord calls me. He's like, bro, we just landed in Ghana. You have to come. I was like,
you're referring to Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, Chance the Rapper.
And so he was singing he was performing at a concert there, or what was it?
So him and another rapper named Vic Mensa, they're both two. I consider them like big brothers. They collaborated to throw a totally free concert in Ghana and Accra. It was like Erykah Badu performed, T-Pain. It was like a really proper, like amazing festival in Ghana for free. And you know, a load of people from Chicago ended up flying out over to Accra. I'm over here in Florence. It's not that far. Like I can literally like Rome to Rome. I go in 5 hours. I'm in like West Africa, man. So I'm like, okay. So my best friend calls me. He's like, yo, bro, you have to come to Accra, Ghana right now. I'm like, bro, what do you mean come to Accra, Ghana right now? Like I'm in my studio. And he's like, I don't care, bro. Like you need to come here. I was like, you know what? Okay. So I just bought the ticket, man. The next day I was on a flight to Accra. I was like, yo, this is my first time going to Africa, bro. I was a little scared, to be honest with you. I'm like, I don't know what to expect. So I was sitting next to this Ghanaian guy, and we're descending into Accra, and the lights, like, you know how you can see kind of like the energy or the vibe of a city by kind of like when you start to see the lights, like, oh, I'm in New York, or oh, I'm in London, or oh, I'm in Paris, or oh, I'm in Chicago, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I'm in Accra. Like how the lights, it was like scattered everywhere. Like, I'm just like, this, first of all, this is amazing. This is crazy. Like, what is going on? The guy sitting to my right, he was a Ghanaian dude. He's like, you're about to land in West Africa, bro. Drop all your expectations. I was like, oh my God. Like, I got butterflies in my stomach. So we're landing and it's hot. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's hot inside the airport, man. I'm like, okay, cool. So I get out the airport. It's madness. I'm like, this is dope though, bro. Like, so this one taxi, I'm like, taxi's like, I hop in his car. I'm like, am I like, I don't know anything about the culture. So I'm like, bro, take me to this hotel. He's like, I got you. Bro, and it's just like, it's so hot. This music's like, as music playing, like, you can smell like roasted like meats and stuff. I'm just like, thank you so much. I'm here. I was like, this is amazing. Like, it was just, the culture was so different. Boom. You see, it was the first time I ever seen like somebody with a popcorn machine on their head, man.
It's just wild out there, isn't it?
I didn't even know that was possible. Like, I'm talking about a popcorn machine, like on your head, like walking. I'm like, what is going on? But basically, as I'm out there, I think I was out there for like 5 days, man. And it was anybody that's watching is like, look, Accra, Ghana is very fun. But I'm noticing like two things. I'm seeing this image everywhere of the Anglo-Saxon Christ, because this is one of the most famous ones. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm in Africa. Like, that's crazy. But then also, I'm noticing like my friends, they had to rent out all these billboards to promote their concert. So in my like artist composing mind, I'm like, I'm just putting just dots together, man. And I'm like, okay, on the back of trucks, I'm seeing this picture everywhere of Anglo-Saxon Christ. That's the reason I just recently painted this. I had to. I was like, I gotta do this one. And I'm like, I'm seeing it on people's front doors. And I'm like, I know people are like God-fearing, like they love Jesus out here in Africa. And I'm like, but it's kind of sad that like they love like the white Jesus. I'm like, we're in Africa, bro. Like, what are you doing? So I had the time of my life. It was amazing. I get back to Florence. I called my homie Vic Mensa, literally one of my closest friends, bro. I love him so much. He's done so much for me. And he's like, I was like, bro, how did you guys rent those billboards? Ding! He sends me the contact. I call the dude. He's in the car. He's like, hey man. I'm like, hey yo, I need to rent like 4 billboards, man. He's like, all right. Boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was very powerful.
Do one more this year too. Because the goal was to just do 5. Obviously, like just through other various projects and stuff, you know, there's just a lot going on. So I'm actually going to do one finale this year of another billboard. We'll see. We're still deciding how, because we were just kind of talking about that lynching, the crossing the lynching tree. So we're gonna see how like controversial. I just don't want to like trigger anyone in the wrong way.
How long were they up for?
So each one was up for anywhere from, I think like the longest one was up for like 6 months. Like those ones were up for almost the whole year, like half the year, because I needed people to see that imagery. Like I was like,
and man, what happened to the canvas that they got put up on? Like what happened to the print thing that they
so I have all those prints. I want to do a show with them at some point and kind of recreate Ghana. I want to recreate like in.
Did you have the actual billboards that were put up?
I have them, yeah.
Wow, how big are they? They must be like 18 foot.
They're massive. Some of them are like 9 meters, like tall, 10 meters tall.
Well, that would be amazing to have a show in a warehouse with those, like with the
original. And I was thinking like recreating, because there were people that the cool thing that I was hearing and I was seeing is people would set up shops. Like they would use these billboards as like moments to like set up like stands. So it was like marketplaces happening in front of the billboards, man. And I'm like, this is exactly what I needed. This is exactly, because people were using it as like, this is meet me at that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, this is perfect. Some of them got stolen, like so I had to replace.
You know, I have a big connection with Ghana because my wife's Ghanaian, and
I remember you telling me, man.
My father worked there in the like late 70s when the revolution was going on. So I have like a deep connection with Ghana. Yeah.
Man, one day we might even be in Ghana together, man.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
for
love
sure.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me, I got Thelonious. You just do so many interesting things. It's like
Thank you, man.
I could tell talking to you. You've got so many ideas coming out. You can hardly
Like I just came in,
express them.
you
There's
just
so
gave
many
me
things
like
coming.
2 ideas since we've been talking, man. Like I just had to
It's
do it.
incredible.
Like
Your mind thinks like I do. But also, yeah, tell me about you. You have this Thelonious shoe, which is a beautiful shoe that you've designed.
I do, man.
How did that whole come about? That whole shoe come about? That's incredible.
So I wanted to design a shoe for the artist, right? Like my whole life is like even when I was in the academy, we was the first year of me having to like, cause like in the academy you stand all day. That's what you do. You don't sit down. Like why are we sitting down? In America, painters sit down while they paint, man. They're sitting down. They're this close. They got lights and stuff. It's not a thing over here. Like you stand, you step back. Like we need distance. I'm in the corner of the room, like looking at like a drawing and stuff. And my back started killing me, man. Like my body was adapting to this new lifestyle of just standing and working all day, every day. And I would notice I like leather boots and stuff, but I would have to stop. I would like, damn, I love wearing boots, but like I need to get a pair of like shoes, like gym shoes to paint. But I don't really like to wear gym shoes. So just over like this, and this from like literally me from being a student to now, I'm like, I need to design a shoe that is for an artist that I can wear every single day, that's extremely comfortable, that's still luxurious, but like still like serves its purpose in any terrain. For the most part. Like other than like snow or like mud, like extreme slippery mud, like, standard terrain. And boom, man. My favorite shoe brand is a Tuscan brand actually called Guidi. And they use some like the most amazing quality leathers from horse to lamb to calf. So I started to get like introduced to like pretty deep like leather culture from like jackets to shoes, bags, and just this deep appreciation for like just skins. So I'm like, all right, cool. I know I want to make a very nice, comfortable shoe. Why not we make it in lambskin though? Because I was thinking about actually like Christ as like a sacrificial lamb. So like a lot of the pieces in regards to like clothing or footwear that I might design are in the case I'm using leather, it's going to be in lambskin, but it's like directly related to Christ. I actually have one. I have one of the shoes. I could show you a pair.
Yeah, they're beautiful shoes. Show the audience a pair because they're
So
genuinely well designed. They're beautiful.
this the box. I don't know if you can see, but it's like a reflective Thelonious Stokes, like made in Italy. Is it?
Oh
Oh, that's
wow!
not.
And do you have anything else with this brand, or is it just boots?
Yeah, if you go to my site, I don't know if you can see it, but then this is actually the very first sketch of the shoe,
Oh wow!
and I just put it right on the, and
Lambskin.
and it just boom from sketch to I was basically able to like did the exact design of my first sketch. And just a little bit of introduction. Like, hey, my name is Thelonious Stokes.
That's beautiful.
A little bit about the shoe, and then this is actually the smallest size. It's a 36. So it's like for a kid, really. This is a elasticized lambskin. So this is all lambskin. Has a 2-part Vibram sole on it. So it's like when you put it on, like it's just so this is the most comfortable shoe I ever wore in my life.
They
And
look incredible.
I feel so blessed to be able to have designed this. And now the crazy thing is I've only sold a couple pairs because they're quite expensive, but I've given them away a couple pairs too to some like loved ones. I saw you talk to Tom recently. I gave him a pair from the academy. Like people that I know, that I love, people that are like artists that I respect and admire, and I feel like, yeah, yo, you deserve this artist shoe. I want you to wear it while you work. Like, trust me. The crazy thing though is before I even got, and I'm paying for everything myself, so it's quite expensive when you start putting shoes into production. And a lot of the factories here in Tuscany, they're like minimum 150 pairs. I'm like, that's like 30,000 euros, man. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, can we do 20? Can we do 50? Can we do a run like limited runs? So I've been really having like find factories and develop relationships of just kind Italian factory owners are like, for you Thelonious, I'll do 20 pairs, I'll do 50 pairs. I'm like, thanks, bro. But China ended up somehow through the process of the design of my shoe. Before I even got any inventory in, I was the only person in the world wearing this shoe, right? It's called the Thelo 095, so it's short for Thelonious. I was born in the year 95. Artist shoe. I'm wearing this shoe every day. It's like my favorite shoe. And I see my friend comes by who was a part of the design process. He's like, bro, look. He showed me this video of my shoe being sold in China. I was like, bro, what? How? Like,
No way.
how did they? And just even like I put a video on my Instagram, and now they're trying to like, they took down the video. They're like, this is copyright infringement. I'm like, this is my shoe. I'm trying to show you how people are copying it. They think I'm copying my own stuff.
There's no stopping it though. I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in China, and it's
really?
crazy what they copy because I like literally. I found this backstreet CD shop when back in the day when people listened to CDs, and they had Brian Eno copies, like fake Brian Eno. They had Aphex Twin.
I love it.
But like next to like pop records like Britney Spears, all fake. And I'm like, how do they even know about Aphex Twin in this back alley? Like, it's crazy.
It's actually really cool. Like when you want to appreciate it, but then it's like because then I had to get like a Chinese lawyer, and I'm like, all right, what can I do about this? So she's like, first of all, you have to register your brand in China. I'm like, all right. So now I have a registered brand in China, and now she's like, you have to patent it in China. And I'm like, oh my God. She's like, it might be pointless because it's like 16 different platforms are already selling your shoe, and they might have even patented your own design. And I'm like, no. But the cool thing is like, it's a huge learning curve. And like through the design process, now I know like every small stitch must be like patented. Which is kind of like now I'm learning. Like
it's
now,
the way of the world. I mean, like my Instagram page gets copied by so many different people. They take all my content, they put it on their page, and and that's fine. It's just I don't even worry about it because
what they say is
you just have to stay ahead. You have to stay ahead of the game. Like you just have to stay ahead of if you have a creative mind, artistic mind, you're always going to be thinking of the next thing. So
no, totally. So yeah, I've already designed the second artist shoe, like artist shoe 2. This one though, I have to like make sure that before I even release any images of it, that I have to get everything patented and like just so I don't have like an issue where and these are actual companies. Like these are not like individual people. Like these are companies, and they're selling hundreds of my product. Like so, I'm like, I wonder how much money you guys are making off this because like that was one of the goals is to, not always have to like hustle and sell paintings all the time because. That's what I do. I was like, all right, how about I design a shoe? Everybody likes shoes. That's really beautiful. It is what it is, though. It's all a learning curve. So, at the end of the day, really all I can do is just continue to pursue my passion, which is just it's rooted in oil painting. I love performance. I love to design, and really like developing the language so it's all even making sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, it does make sense to me. From like, I grew up with going with my granddaddy to this catfish spot, looking at these guys pull out catfish out of a small pool. And it's like, at least it's like a back alley Chicago, like fish fry. You know what I mean? They pulling these fishes out, they throwing them on the ground, they knocking them in the head with a hand. These are catfish, man. And you hear it. And next thing you know, I'm just with my grandfather just eating a sandwich. And like, we listening to like gospel music and stuff. That's like my life. And like, so I want that energy that I experience to be infused into the work, like that rich soul, and even that kind of like that eerie, like Twilight Zone, like what's going on? Because like being
like the black paintings.
No, absolutely. It's just like, why am I like not? Why does painting make me feel uncomfortable?
I've always loved that feeling. Some people get very put off by that feeling. They look at a Francis Bacon painting or something that's eerie, and they get really put off. Like I can't have that on my wall. That's a typical thing that people say. I've always been very drawn to that kind of art. I love that kind of art. That kind of art that's very emotive, that makes you feel a certain way.
Because like you would like when we really acknowledge like the depth of like the human experience, man. Like it's not all just like lilies and roses. Like I've went through so much to even get to this point. Like, I'm even this year, I was, things happen. right? And those things must be expressed. I feel like there's a level of discernment and integrity that goes into certain. It's like I don't want to always just put all of my emotions just right on the canvas just for you to just like say what you want, but at the same time, it's kind of my job. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes I cover that. I cover myself in like the Judeo-Christian imagery because it's really how I feel. And then I was like, all right, let me just actually paint a self-portrait because like I'm feeling kind of like vulnerable right now. So I'm gonna wear a tutu, and I'm like, I'm tired of people treating me like this. So I'm gonna like smash a watermelon in my face, and like even potentially like from my imagination, like put a high heel like or something. You know, there's just so many like layers of responding to myself in this like, you know, I live in Florence, a Eurocentric environment. I just painted complete black, calling myself the big black ocean and shit. So it's just I just feel like this work needs to be done. It just has, you know what I'm saying, needs to be done here.
Yeah, I find you're a fascinating artist. You've got so many different layers.
Man, we gotta get a coffee. When are you gonna come to Florence, man?
I'm coming in July, August time, so I will definitely come and see your studio, and we could do another one of these.
No, that'd be great. We could even just do it side by side, man.
Yeah, we'll do it in your studio.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And we could like compose something nicely too, for sure. I would, man. I'm excited to meet you in person too, man. We've been knowing each other for years now.
I can't wait.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't wait. Before we go, tell me about the Black Academy of Art, and then we'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. So the Black Academy of Art is, from my knowledge, the first Black-owned private fine arts academy in Europe. Right now, I'm starting off with a very compressed, limited amount of students, 5 to 10 maximum. I already have accepted 7, which is dope. So they'll be entering into which would then be the Black Academy of Art, which I really want to like root it in like I want to start things like I always appreciated like the concept of guerrilla filmmaking, which is just like filmmakers going out there and just doing it. Like they're on top of buses. If you need to get the shot, you climbing on stuff. So like the same like energy that I've read about that was a part of some of like the old Florentine workshops. This is like, look, I need a group of followers, and I'm just saying followers for like that culture. Okay, I need some young artists that I teach my hand. They then and I want to like kind of focus on like underrepresented artists, like women, black men. But that's not at the same time. I don't want to be exclusive in any way. Like anybody's welcome to the academy. There is a certain group that needs to be served though, right? And really like create and home and build a community here in Florence of like young black artists that like know how to paint. So I just want to teach them everything I know. You know, we're doing a little bit of like just rearranging to what is currently my studio. You know, adding some like movable walls to kind of like showcase some of the students' work. You know, just proper model stands like for evening drawing, like just proper like spotlights for the model. And yeah, it'll be group like a small group for the first year, 5 to 10 students, who will be like the first group of students at the Black Academy of Art, man.
That's incredible. That's a great idea, and it also goes along with the tradition of the academic tradition of Florence. So you're just extending your knowledge and your your background to another academy. And it's great.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. And then at some point, because too, look, like there are moments where I'm like knocking out like crazy large like 3-meter tall paintings. It's like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to mix this palette. I'm gonna go to Paris. I need you to fill in this background. Like, and I also need you to finish this barg. So like, peace. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I really want to like not only develop, like I want to develop it's not a new language, but there is like a new section of the language. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not only like teaching these students everything I know, but I want them to help me develop some of my larger works as well. Which I just feel like that's what's always been done in Florence.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Listen, Thelonious, this is an absolute pleasure as always. We'll do it again, man. Hopefully in July when I'm in Florence. We'll hang out and until next time, my friend, it's been a pleasure.
Yo, thank you so much, man. It was an awesome dialogue with you, bro. I appreciate you.
It was a great conversation.
All right, man.
Thanks. Bye.
Talk soon. Ciao, bro.
Ciao.
Ciao.